Wonderful. So, all right, a very warm good morning and good afternoon to all of you, depending upon the time zone you are in. And my name is Kuldeep. I'm part of Analyto Automation. We are an AI company with a patent pending predictive analytics technology where we understand consumer behavior and product behavior to solve key challenges. I would like to take this opportunity to say, first of all, thank you so much for taking out time today to join this panel discussion. And to begin with, I would like to give a brief introduction about our panelist. Let me start with Aaron first. Aaron is the president and co-founder of LifeAid Bevco, which is their motto is vitamins you will actually enjoy drinking. Amazing. LifeAid is a leading manufacturer of premium, healthy, and convenient nutritional products designed to boost performance and speed recovery for people pursuing active and healthy lifestyle. And Aaron, after earning a Doctor of Chiropractic degree from Palmer College, has served as a clinic director at Hinde Chiropractic Sports Injury and Pain Center for over 10 years. And after that, he co-founded LifeAid. Welcome, Aaron, to the panel discussion.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Then we have Heidi with us. Heidi Finley is the founder and CEO of Maven Meals. She's based out of Washington. She is a CEO with a history of building thriving business in the food industry. She's extremely skilled in event planning, management, sales, and leadership. She has a strong business development acumen and with a master's degree in MBA in sustainability studies from Besa University. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you.
Then we have Michael with us. Michael Radnia is the founder of Drink Besa. He's based out of California. Michael has a business degree from Boston University Quistrom School of Business. And to a little bit about Michael's business, Michael is in the business of where their Drink Besa product is kind of built for spontaneous weekenders. It's basically built with organic and vegan canned wines, and it's kind of a product which is meant for, I must say, millennials and for everyone. So welcome, Michael.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. So I would like to start this panel discussion with first question, which is, how was the business for you for the last 5 months? I mean, these 5 months have been extremely challenging as well as full of opportunities for food and beverage companies. So how was the business for you over the last 5 months, and how your business have grown in the last 5 months? Let me start with probably Heidi to begin with.
Hi, thanks, Kuldeep. So I am the owner of Maven Meals. We are a prepared meal delivery service that services the greater Seattle, Washington area. And going into the pandemic, we were having consistently an increasing business. And when the pandemic hit, within the span of 2 weeks, our business basically doubled. So we were in the position to have to rise to the occasion very quickly. We do all in-house delivery, so that meant not only increasing the production and all of the things that go along with that, packaging and the delivery piece of it as well. Just really very rapidly needed to double our operation. So we really kind of in that moment took the first couple weeks and we were just kind of working around the clock with the the team that we had, and we were able to in that time Washington was closing down. Everything was getting shut down, all the restaurants and everything. So there was a lot of opportunity to offer jobs to people who were being displaced in other from other work. And so we increased our staff by about 35% within a couple weeks, and really just got everyone trained up, and then started looking outward to see how we could, help the community. And we donated over 8,000 meals to the healthcare workers, and partnered with other local businesses who had lost their distribution channels through the farmers markets, and really tried to offer our platform as a way for them to continue doing business, and as well as just kind of, instead of just kind of looking internally and just trying to drive it, is really kind of taking the approach of what can we do for the community. And it really continues to kind of pay back to us in spades. So it's for us, it's been, while it's a terrible time that we're all in, for business, we feel like we've been able to really be a solution for people to not have to leave their homes. We can bring meals to them for at least that piece of it. So we are still going pretty strong. So yeah.
Wow, excellent there. Because I think these are the times that you have sailed through. So if you can sail through these times, I think sky's the limit for growth, and commendable what you have done. I think taking care of people is the most rewarding thing that one can do during these times. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me go to Aaron and ask, Aaron, you are in this business of keeping people fit and fine, and would love to take your thoughts on how was the business for you in the last 5 to 6 months, and how do you see what this pandemic has taught the businesses, or like how they can navigate better, and how they have navigated. They've already navigated through this tough times, and they have a lot of opportunity ahead. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic's really accelerated existing trends that were already put in motion, specifically, movement towards direct-to-consumer and e-commerce. Fortunately for LifeAid, our first 5 years in business, we were only e-com. We didn't have any retail presence. So we already had a pretty established and robust direct-to-consumer business. The biggest challenge for us was really we still have a significant amount of our revenue coming from the gym channel. And basically all the gyms in the United States, actually globally, were shut down. Sure. So our entire international business was really dependent on gyms, and that went away, as well as our domestic business for gyms went away. So we did a few things. One, we knew that the gyms were really early partners for us. So instead of retracting and trying to save every penny we could in marketing expense there, we did the opposite, and we created a program called the LifeAid Lift program. So any of those gym members that started buying directly from us through our e-commerce platform, we would give a $15 per case kickback to the gym to help keep them afloat during the times they were shut down. So even though we took a significant hit with gym revenue, our direct-to-consumer and Amazon business all grew by triple digits, and we're maintaining that pace currently. From a retail perspective, we had a lot of pantry loading in March, as did most CPG companies. April got a little light, and it started to level out and normalize a little bit. In the out months, a lot of the resets for newer brands got put off, and including SKU optimization and resets for us, but we were able to get creative and really support stores in resetting the different categories at the store level. I mean, for a month straight, our team was basically stocking toilet paper and cleaning supplies for store managers, just to assist and keep as much product that was necessary to keep people safe and healthy on the shelves as possible. So it's been a challenge. And now here in California, we're challenged with the fires going on, and a lot of people displaced, including myself and my business partner. As I mentioned before the call, I just lost my home about a week ago, unfortunately. But the community here at LifeAid has really stepped up. We've got probably 20 different CPG companies that have all donated to the cause, and our team that's typically out doing demos and doing in-store sampling is now mobilized to evacuation centers and donating much needed supplies to our all of our firefighters and you know, all of the thousands in the community that have been evacuated.
Wow, I mean, I must say that these are challenging times, but I think you guys are doing wonderful job out there of kind of keeping things in sane and finding a way through, because this is what we have to go through right now. And one after the another challenges are going to come. And I think, but what you have done, what the point that you mentioned, that your primary business was coming from gyms and suddenly because they got shut down, how it kind of affected you, but now still you managed to kind of support them through your alternate channel. Wow, extremely commendable there. Great. Uh, Let me come to Michael. And Michael, if you can give us a little bit about your business and what you do and how was the business for you in the last 5 months?
Yeah. So I'm the co-founder of Besa Wines, and really we started the brand about a year and a half ago, and it's really on the idea that we're producing a better for you wine experience. So we take, you know, any other wine and we make sure that it goes through a certain processing that doesn't have, you know, goes through almost like a regulation. So typically, you know, before this, we saw that a lot of things went into wine that we never saw before. So pesticides, herbicides, foreign chemicals, all these like terrible stuff that went into the winemaking process that none of us knew because there's no labeling on wine. So we started to dig deeper. We saw there was like intense amount of sugar and different ingredients that like we've never heard of. So we wanted to, my brother and I wanted to create a company that was a clean wine, which is why all of our wines are certified organic. There's 0 grams of sugar, low in sulfites. You don't get any headaches, and they're 12.5%. So typically you get a little better of a buzz than a White Claw or any other drink you might have from a can. Within the last 5 months, it's been really interesting. I think, you know, when this first happened, I mean, we've only been in the business for a year and a half, so it's kind of our first time going through this process. And whenever we got through COVID, you know, we thought this was going to be the worst thing for us because we didn't have an online like shop, like we didn't have Shopify at that time, right? So we didn't really make any sales. And then as soon as we started, you know, linking our products to our website, we saw that we were getting more sales online than we were ever through our whole distribution. So we quickly found out that, you know, within a 3-month period, within the last 3 months, we've almost tripled last year's sales, which is really interesting because we're seeing more people are drinking more than ever. So, which is great. But at the same time, you know, there's a huge demand for online, you know, delivery for alcohol. And that's something that I never expected before. And I don't think the industry ever saw that either. I think it was, you know, majority of like, you know, food and beverage products that were not alcoholic. And now you're seeing, you know, people sign up for subscriptions. And now we're working with a lot of different restaurant groups that we never had the opportunity to work with before. So such as like Veggie Grill. And I don't know if you guys have heard of that brand, but really, you know, they came up to us and they said, you know, people are trying to stay away from the wine experience as far as, you know, having someone behind the counter who's opening up a bottle of wine, you know, pouring into a cup, touching that cup, touching the wine, and then handing it back to the customer. It gets a little, you know, it's not the same experience that we had before. So now they wanted more of a convenient situation where it was just more of a grab and go and less people were touching it. So now, you know, we saw that we're working with a lot more restaurants than we ever were before. And we hope to support, you know, the on-premises that we have and hopefully future on-premises as they start to open up from COVID. And I think a lot of that is through like Postmates, and because the products are really easy to transport versus the wine bottle, it's almost like the perfect product to ship.
Wow. What a story you got there. I mean, 1.5 years and you saw everything. And I think you pivoted, you've made changes, you adopted to the situation and kind of is working out for you. Wow, excellent there. I mean, I must say, because this is what happens. I think most of the challenges that come our way, we come up with creative solutions. And I think this gives us an opportunity there. Excellent story there. I think a lot of people can get a chance to learn from you there. Uh, I want to ask my second question to all of you panelists here, which is, now that you know that the consumer, your business, the way you are able to connect with your customers through your online channel, you have acquired all those customers in the last 5, 6 months. How do you plan on retaining them? How will you ensure that those customers become your repeat buyers and you are able to get the maximum lifetime value from these customers? What are some of the plans that you have laid out for it? Because it's extremely essential, because all these customers that you might have acquired must have come either through your paid advertising campaign or definitely through inorganic reach. So how are you planning to retain them over the next 1.5 years, because to make them the ambassadors for you? Let me ask Heidi to begin with again.
Sure. So we have long time. We've been in business for 10 years, and until this past fall, we really never did any advertising. So it was all word of mouth, and we have just and we've seen consistent steady growth, and that's part of the reason why we didn't pay for any advertising. We were just kind of trying to grow at a steady rate. And we finally had everything all in place to really start going for it in the advertising. And so now that we have acquired, we've over doubled our customer base in the last 5 months. And to kind of help retain that, we have launched a referral program to kind of reinforce that word of mouth advertising. And that's really, we find, the best way to, continue to get customers and, new parents and empty nesters and busy professionals. And so that's kind of our approach that we are taking, but we're really continuing to innovate constantly. We put out a new menu for people to order from every single week, so people aren't getting bored or burned out, constantly taking feedback from people, what they want to see. And, just trying to keep it interesting, trying to do different programs. Like we did a mystery meal this week, and, just to kind of keep people engaged and keep it fun and keep it exciting. So that's our approach and how we're moving forward. And we are continuing to invest in, advertising and to keep those people coming in the door. Our retention rate is really good. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's an excellent point there, because retention, if you're able to retain all of your customer, nothing like it, and they have to drive additional traffic and revenue for your business. And that creative thing that you did there, that's also kind of very cool. Aaron, you've been a business leader and for such a long time, and I want to ask you, when you started this business of LIFEAID, I mean, how, this beverage business that you got, what are some of the strategies that you kind of have right now to kind of scale it up to the next level? You already have reached an inflection point with all this new customers that you have acquired. How big, or what is the kind of scale that you want to achieve maybe in the next 5 years?
Well, I mean, of course, we want to make LIFEAID a household brand. I mean, we have the ACV now, the door count. So it's just really focusing on velocities. And, to kind of tie into your previous question, I think to really scale, you have to do things that are counterintuitive. You have to do things that aren't scalable. I mean, for the first 5 years of our business, we didn't have any sales reps whatsoever, but we had a very robust customer success team. So, we're very much, all about making emotional deposits into our customers' bank accounts, because we know that, FedEx will lose a package, or they'll drop something and a can will get broken. And so there's always things that kind of detract from that emotional bank account. So we do, everything that we can in our power to make, our customers feel like they're part of the family. And that leads to, a lot of referrals. It leads to great Trustpilot reviews. And it really helps fuel growth, both online, direct to consumer, and as well in the retail format, because there's really no, we used to really distinguish the business in those two different categories, and those lines are getting so blurred these days. all retailers now have pretty robust direct-to-consumer business going. We have our own, we have Amazon. So I don't really, I'm pretty agnostic onto where customers are purchasing product, you know, as long as they're purchasing it and they're having an amazing experience. In addition, you know, keeping that constant communication with our customer base. I mean, the number one reason that customers leave a business, a service, or a product is because they become indifferent. You know, it's commoditized. This McDonald's is the same as that McDonald's. It doesn't matter which one you go to. There's no loyalty. And the only way to battle that indifference is through constant communication and you know, developing, you know, more and more emotional deposits. So that's been really our focus and how we've scaled. And sometimes, you know, I'm personally on the phone with a customer that has an issue, just to, you know, make sure that they know it's getting the attention that it deserves. That may not be a scalable thing to get to $1 billion brand, but it's, you know, what we need to do, because we know that, you know, one negative experience with the right individual, they can cause a lot of havoc online, and we want to deal with any issues that come up and maintain, you know, that 4.8 out of 5-star rating that we have, which is pretty darn challenging when you know, you've got hundreds of thousands of customers.
Wow, very interesting thought there. I mean, listening to your consumers and talking to them, nothing like it. And I think they are the ones who kind of tell you those areas of opportunities that one might have never thought of. I think excellent insight there. Uh, I want to ask you, all the panelists, like, you have a very strong online presence now, and because of which it helped you in connecting with your consumers. Like, what platform are you currently using, and where do you spend your marketing budget on? Like, which channel has worked best for you? Let me ask Michael to begin with, followed by Heidi, and then to Aaron. Michael, what platform do you use for your store?
So right now we use Woocommerce, but we're about to switch to Shopify, and the reason so, and it's a little difficult for us, it's because Woocommerce we're just able to link up our transactions without an additional fee. So with Shopify, there is an additional fee, but now that, you know, we're hitting a scale, you know, our numbers are a lot greater than, let's say, like a couple months ago, we're able to now move on to Shopify without the additional fee. So our platform will be Shopify. And I think really our main, what we try to do mostly is, like, we don't really focus so much on Facebook and Instagram ads, is that we really try to captivate and really connect with our buyers through email marketing.
Okay.
And that's, I think, the number one tool for us, where, you know, we'll get, you know, throughout time, we'll get a lot of emails from additional market generated affiliates that will come to our site. They'll fill out the form, and then from there we'll call them and we'll connect with them on an emotional level, where, like, you know, kind of what Aaron said, it's not scalable, but it does help build the brand equity. And I think that's really important, where, you know, because, you know, we're so new, for us, it's all about building that loyalty and that brand equity, so those people can become ambassadors and then tell their friends, which then becomes scalable, and then they can tell their friends. So as of now, it's really, really, like, hands-on as far as making sure that we connect with every single person who does touch our brand, because unfortunately, when it comes to distribution, we never got that before, right? Like, we had no idea who was purchasing our products, right? Someone would walk into a grocery store and, you know, they would purchase our products. We didn't know if they were 50, 60, 20, like, you know, there was no demographics on who was purchasing your products. And now we have the data to be able to connect with them. And more than that, we're able to have their information to really establish a personal connection.
Wow.
I think that has helped us a lot. And now, as we're starting to grow, we're starting to invest more in just influencer marketing to really get people to try the products right now.
Amazing. So you got now from WooCommerce, you're making shift to Shopify, and then, like, email marketing is working really well for you to connect with your target audience. And amazing. That's a great piece of insight there. And I think that little things that you're doing is going to have a big ripple effect, because if you are talking to your consumers, nothing like it. No matter how small the consumer is, it's always important. Consumer is the king. How about you, Heidi? Like, what platform are you using, and where do you spend your marketing budget on? Which channels do you spend it?
So about a year ago, we switched from a custom built platform to Shopify, and it just opened up so many more opportunities for us. And having that access to data has really given us some good insights as to where to spend those marketing dollars and be able to track. You know, I kind of laugh and think, you know, for the first so many years of the business, we were just kind of, you know, flying blind and still, you know, growing in spite of that. But now we are, you know, we've really been kind of testing. Like I said, we didn't really start doing much paid advertising until this past fall. So we're less than a year into doing that, and we've really kind of tried our hand at a lot of different things, and we have, you know, a diverse reach among over different platforms. But we are really finding that for us, the biggest return on our investment is for Google Ads. You know, it just, at the end of the day, you know, we're seeing 600 plus percent ROI, and it's, you know, it's hard to beat. So that is, you know, that's where we're kind of focusing. And like Michael was saying, we're looking at starting to do influencer marketing and kind of what that might look like as well, to add that to our repertoire. So yeah.
So great thought, great strategy you got there. I mean, as long as, I mean, 600% ROI, that's excellent there, because I think that's what people are looking for. And I think sky's the limit going forward. Amazing. What about you, Aaron? Where do you spend your marketing budget on, and which platform are you currently using for your e-commerce B2C?
Yeah, as far as platform, I'll start with that. We're on Magento 2 platform. We have, you know, a ton of customization, so we didn't quite fit with what Shopify had to offer. Mostly because we have direct-to-consumer business, but we also have a direct-to-gym, direct-to-professional offices, chiropractic offices, physical therapists, et cetera. So, you know, we've got different pricing architecture, wholesale, retail, and lots of different funnels. I mean, we've probably got 200 different funnels running at any given time. And, you know, as far as ad dollars, we pretty much do everything. I mean, we've tested Pinterest, we do, you know, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, organic social, paid social, influencer marketing. But one thing that I, you know, that we started out with in the first 5 years that gave us the greatest return, which almost nobody does anymore, is actually snail mail. You know, good old fashioned USPS snail mail. And so, you know, I would encourage anyone out there, like, if you look at what everyone else is doing, just do the exact opposite. And that's usually where you're going to get your greatest return. You know, with everybody moving to e-com right now, the ROAS on ad spend continues to get more challenging because you're competing against, you know, more and more people. So one place that people are completely neglecting outside of bill collectors is good old snail mail.
Wow. Think outside the box. Wow. That's a great idea that you shared there. Wow. Amazing. Because most of the time, we are all like stuck in our traditional ways. And I think something like this can really change the game. And because ultimately it's all about talking to your consumers. And if this channel can open up so many new ways and doors and opportunities. Wow. Excellent thought there.
Especially with a physical product. I mean, like, all of us have physical products. So if Heidi was to send a meal to somebody, unbeknownst to them, it just showed up at their door, you can bet 100% of the time it's getting opened, right? Like, anytime you get lumpy mail, it gets opened. You know, we all filter our snail mail the exact same way, over the trash can. Junk, bill, letter from grandma. You know, that's just how we do it. So if you can get in the letter from grandma pile, then you're in good shape.
Wow, that's true. That's very, very true. I think that's a great idea there. I mean, for any business, that can be a game changer. Wow, excellent. I want to for the next session, I want to ask this question. Let me share it. I'm launching this poll. This question is, do you know which customers are you losing? Not that you are acquiring customers, but do you get to know which customers you're losing? Because not everyone you can retain. So how do you plan on kind of retaining or tackling them? I mean, maybe you can answer this question, Heidi, Aaron. Uh, how do you plan on kind of, or where, can you identify the customers which you're losing? If you can answer it in the poll question.
Yeah. So yeah, we can definitely identify the customers we're losing. We do have, we are, B2C business. We have all that information.
Okay.
And so we are, doing re-engagement, email marketing campaigns with, sending, hey, we miss you, we want to feed you, that sort of thing. And that's been very successful for us, as well as just, sending personalized emails, not the most efficient way, but it does have a really big impact. And, there are some customers who inevitably have a bad experience. We will deliver them, a box of cookies. We sell a lot of cookies and people love them. So, who doesn't love a box of cookies that shows up on your doorstep? So, so we take a really personal approach and really interact with those customers we pride ourselves on, really extremely high quality customer service and customer engagement. And so that's our very hands-on approach to, trying to retain those customers that are wanting to leave.
Okay. Wow. Amazing. Michael, your business is pretty new, and you acquired all these customers, and you have a very thoughtful process for acquiring more new customers. Definitely what you're doing with your email marketing, influencer marketing, and other channels that you're planning to explore. What is your ambition for this business? How big do you want to see your business going to be? I mean, like in the next 5 years, what's your vision for the business?
Yeah, it's a good question. I always think about that all the time because we haven't really raised any outside capital, and one of the things about raising outside capital is you always kind of think about how big do you want to grow this, right? Because as soon as you start taking money from investors at a substantial amount, like you're almost you really have to reach a certain scale so your investors can essentially see their coupon. So for us, I mean, I think initially we just really want to create a brand that people knew about and they can have access to clean wine, right? So I wouldn't necessarily put a number to it where we want to be I don't think this would ever be $1 billion brand. I think it could be in the hundreds of millions, but that's not necessarily how we want to get there. For us, we just want to establish we're starting in California, and we're really just establishing almost like a movement here and just slowly building that case study in different cities. Really, again, like building that brand equity. If I were to say like, where do we want to be? If you were to tell me, I would say I just would want to be a very well-known brand in the state of California. And if we end up becoming a very well-known brand in the other 49 states, then so be it. But for us, it's really just providing access to people who are looking for wines that don't give them headaches and don't have all that different types of pesticides that we don't really think about. But at the end of the day, when you walk into any grocery store, you guys are looking for that organic product, but it's not. We've never been trained to think about that whenever we walk into, the wine aisle, right? We're always picking a wine depending on the vintage and varietal, and we're trying to train, educate people that there's way more to purchasing wine than just that. There's a lot of other stuff that go into the winemaking process that we should all know about. So for us, it's just scaling or educating the consumers as much as we can to make sure that people are happy customers at the end of the day, and they're putting good stuff inside of their body, just like they would with, anything else that they'll pick up at a Whole Foods.
Well, I'm going to try your wine, Michael, because I'm a wine snob, and I just lost my entire cellar just melted to the ground. So I'm starting fresh. Bottle one.
I was just in Lake Tahoe like last week, and the fires were crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
But I must say, Michael, you got a clear focus there to become a king in California, and then maybe let the destiny take its chart. I mean, I think that's a great strategy, I believe, because I think once you nailed California as a state, I think it will be pretty easy to kind of go to other states and acquire customers there. And ultimately, I think the news travels fast. So I believe that's a great focus, and I think that's a good vision. I believe that
It's
you with clarity what you want to do in the next couple of years. That's
it's
amazing.
also a massive state too, where it's
Yeah.
like you you could just focus on a few cities that have millions of people in it versus once you want to scale outside, it
Yeah.
becomes so much more expensive
Hmm.
and hard to manage, right? So sometimes like you can have the best product in the world, but if you're not able to manage it and you're not able to
Hmm.
scale properly, you know, you,
Yeah.
you could really collapse the business
Absolutely.
over years of time.
Correct. I think keeping the customer acquisition cost as much as possible, I mean, I think in the initial stages, the customer acquisition cost can be on the higher side, but I think over a period of time, it should go down as much as possible with all the marketing strategies that one can put in place. Uh, Adrian, when you were setting up your business, what are some of the challenges that you faced? And for budding entrepreneurs who want to launch a food and beverage business, what is one or two advice that you want to give to them? Like, what are your thoughts?
Challenges, they don't stop. I
Mhm.
mean, there's constant challenges.
Yes, but when you were
I'd say
getting started,
the biggest thing I see when I'm looking at, business plan or somebody's fundraising and they're asking for my opinion is inaccurate thinking or lack of accurate thinking. It takes 100 things, as anyone on the panel will tell you, to really align to have a successful CPG business. And one of those things can completely sink the ship. From having the wrong personnel on the team to inaccurate thinking about your marketing, demand for the product, labeling, lack of clean labeling, flavor profiles, VPO volume assumptions, margin requirements, margin assumptions, scalability. Like there are so many things that can sink your business. And a lot of times I'm looking at something and it'll be like, okay, that makes sense, that's accurate. And then it's like, oh, we're going to be selling 20 cases at retail from day one. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, where would you even come up with that assumption? And all the numbers are based on this one assumption, which is inaccurate. So I'd say, make sure that you're thinking accurately and get a lot of different opinions on people that have kind of been there, done that, on to make sure you're as accurate as you can be. And then, number two, choose a single target market. It's very important. Michael talked about dominating California.
yeah,
Most times when you're choosing a single target market, Heidi up in Seattle, it's a geographic market, but it can also be a channel. For us, it was CrossFit specifically. We went very deep in the CrossFit channel. We became the dominant global, beverage player, specifically in CrossFit. And then from CrossFit, we went to Spartan Race, and then other, functional fitness, and then Globo Gyms, then to Vitamin Shop GNC and Whole Foods and Natural Channel, and then grocery, mass, et cetera, et cetera. So you can continue to scale out, but, focusing on that target market. Don't chase every shiny object that's out there, because as entrepreneurs, we're typically very ADD, and there's all these different opportunities, and you can spend yourself out of existence very quickly if you're not extremely focused on going as deep as you can in that target market.
wow, excellent. I think I must say, uh, uh, having the clarity and like listening to a lot of feedback, I think the opinions, I think because most assumptions can be wrong, and I think they can only be corrected when you have different thoughts coming in from different experts. Wow, that's an excellent advice there.
And even with
Uh,
that, like the opinion that I put the most weight on is customers' opinion, because they're the ones that are actually reaching in their
yeah,
wallet and handing you a credit card. Like, you can get opinions from everybody and you have to take it for what it is. It's a non-paying customer typically. Like, the people that are
yeah,
giving me money, those are the opinions I value most. And then, I'll weigh our advisors and other people. A lot of people, even if they've had massive success in an industry, they're
mm,
using a playbook that worked for them at some point in the past, and the playbook
mhm,
changes on a day-to-day basis. So you can't
right,
necessarily, that's why a lot of entrepreneurs have difficulty having two home runs, because they're using the same playbook from before and applying it to today, and it's not relevant anymore.
right. That's actually true. Actually true. Great. I wanted to ask this launch another poll question for all of you, uh, which is, do you know your customer's lifetime value? Uh, like, what tools are you currently using, and are you really getting this actionable insight about your customer's lifetime value? Like, let me end it. Because this question, why I've asked it, is because it's extremely essential to know like which customer is going to give, like the profitability of a business is defined by the repeat revenue that going to come from your existing set of customers. And it's essential to know this customer lifetime value just for an individual customer, but at a segment level, at a store level, and that can define and help you in profitability and kind of formulating your marketing strategies in the long run. So, what kind of have you ever given a thought of knowing about customers' lifetime value with your existing tools? Or let me start with Heidi. What do you do for knowing it?
Yeah, this is something I've recently taken a look at, and just kind of looking at the frequency in which people are buying, kind of looking over the last year of business, you know, how often they're buying, what the level of their spend is, and coming up with kind of, we know where that kind of drop off point is for how many orders, you know, kind of the average number of orders people are placing, because we're not a subscription business. Ours is a week order every week, a la carte, no commitment. So that for us is really important information. So we know when to kind of launch that retargeting, re-engagement process. So we know that for us is at like 6.5 orders, right? So then that triggers our campaigns to kind of bring those people back in and retarget those ads too. So yeah, that's been really helpful information to kind of find and then build out our strategies around that.
Wow, that's great. How about you, Michael? What are your thoughts on it about customers' lifetime value?
So we're really new to the whole DTC game. Before, and my whole theory was that, like, when we first launched the business, I'm like, okay, I can invest my money in direct to consumer in a game that you need a ton of money to win, or I can go in distribution, have people purchase our products on the shelf, and eventually they look on the back and they'll purchase our products organically online. And then since COVID, the whole business turned around. So it's almost become like, you know, the other way around, where now I'm like starting to like learn all these new terms about direct to consumer and like retention and lifetime value. I'm like, wait, this is not the business I had in mind.
And jargon, you can say.
And so, to be honest, I don't know the lifetime value of our customer right now. I think this is all stuff that we're putting into modeling, but I do have a strong opinion that I think, you know, in the next couple of months things will somewhat normalize. Though I think people have gotten very used to purchasing online with wine, and I don't think that'll ever change, and which is great. But I do think things will go back to normal, where people are going back into grocery stores and bars and restaurants to start purchasing their wines, and we'll be there.
Right. Absolutely.
The quick and dirty way to calculate that, Michael, is take your total revenue from that channel. So just look at total e-com revenue. The longer the time frame, the better. So maybe, I mean, you know, for us, we'll calculate it for 10 years and then with the last 6 months and so forth. But take your total revenue from e-com only, say, since January 1 till today, divided by total number of new customers, new e-com customers. Okay. That's the quick and dirty way to calculate lifetime value. The reason it's so important to know that number, because then, you know, okay, well, my average customer is worth $450. My margin on those customers, you know, 50%. So I can afford to spend up to $225 to acquire a new customer. That's why you have to know that number, so you can kind of back into what you can afford to spend on customer acquisition.
That's a great way of doing it. I think, you know, 100% of our customers within the last 3-4 months are new, so it would be very easy to put that into play, because we never had an an online portal where people can purchase our products.
Yeah,
And you can
that's a
get that
great
info
advice
now,
there.
even on retail. You know, it's all pay to play. It's all big money, but Catalina, Abada, Spins, you know, all offer programs that you can get some pretty deep insights onto customer behaviors and repurchase rates and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But again, it's comes with hefty price tags.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, Moving on, I would like to have a discussion around in the food and beverage business, food security is extremely essential. Like people are going to make their purchase decision based on the, the the contents of the product. So how do you kind of make sure that your consumers are getting that information clearly and transparently? Because labeling, packaging is going to define, because most of the time people want to know what are they having, and how do you plan on anything that you have done differently that to kind of distinguish yourself? The font, the labeling can really make a huge difference in educating the consumers. And once the consumers get that education, once that learning curve is attained, it's very easy to acquire them. So any thoughts that you have there, Adam, on this particular topic?
Did you ask me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this has, you know, become a major issue, especially as we've scaled. I mean, we have a full QC department now, and a scientist kind of heading up that department. We have all of our raw materials tested before it goes into the can. We have our lot testing after production. We do full audits and site inspections at all of our co-packing facilities. You know, we maintain most of the relevant certifications from, you know, kosher, halal, gluten-free, non-GMO, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, different certifications matter to a varying degree to different people. I mean, if you are a gluten-free person, you're only eating gluten-free or drinking gluten-free. So that's most relevant to you. If you're, you know, Jewish and you are a kosher eater, then that's what matters to you. So, you know, we've really looked at and got as many of the certs that we can qualify for. You know, what we're going through right now is the NSF process. So, you know, we can show for professional athletes specifically, although we already have a massive professional and collegiate customer base. You know, when you're approaching teams, you know, you want that NSF for sports. So that's what we're tackling currently.
Great advice there. How about you, Heidi? How are you? Where are you putting your efforts in this direction? Because I think in your business, that really is essential.
Yeah, so for our business, because we are doing all of the production and packaging in-house, and it changes, our menu changes in its entirety every week, we're putting our efforts into our online presence. And our packaging actually has very little information other than just kind of reheating instructions and, you know, kind of eat by quantity size, that sort of thing. So we really, when we relaunched the website about a year ago, we put a lot of emphasis on, you know, making sure that we had additional, you know, gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, kind of vegan, you know, all of the designations that were easy for people to identify with and filter, so they can, so the shopping experience is just a more streamlined approach to what their to their actual dietary needs. So, and we do, you know, keep it changing all the time. So if somebody who's vegan doesn't find a lot of options this week, there may be more next week, that sort of thing. So we're really putting our efforts into our menu development and creation and the website information.
Wow, that's good. I think that's because that's going to define the consumer loyalty, and consumers are really keen on knowing what they're buying. And with the way technologies are rapidly kind of accelerating, Shopify and Magento and all these platforms might be having they are adopting to augmented reality, virtual reality. I think augmented reality is going to allow brands to kind of help consumers in knowing their product inside out just by pointing a camera. They can see the product in 3 dimensions, know everything what's inside it. And that's going to change the game, because today's consumers are becoming more educated, they are more aware, and they want to know, they want to connect with the brands, they want to buy products from brands which are socially responsible, which have less carbon footprint, and all these things kind of resonate with the consumers. And if the consumers are comfortable, they are going to easily recommend the products to other consumers. So that's always the case there. Moving on, I want to take the topic of what kind of tech or what kind of applications do you guys use for your business in order to understand the data, or where exactly do you pay attention to most with all the data that you're getting? Okay, you customer placed an order with you, you know their email, how frequently do you engage with them? What exactly, what tools do you use for your business? Let me start with Aaron to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, we use a variety of tools, from CRM, Infusionsoft, obviously, for email marketing. The e-com team has various tools to keep track of customer acquisition costs and repurchase rates and all of that. I mean, accounting has their own tools internally. We're using, Slack and Asana for task management and internal communication.
Mm-hmm.
So I only dive into the tools I absolutely need and stay away from most of them.
Okay, interesting. Great. How about you, Michael? What kind of tools are you currently using now that you made a shift from WooCommerce to Shopify?
I mean, for us, we're trying to work into tools, and I think Aaron mentioned this a little bit more earlier. Is tools that we can start extracting data from people who are going into grocery stores. So there's a lot, other platforms like iHeartMedia have like really cool tools where they can start giving you data on who's shopping into these grocery stores, and from there you can start retargeting and marketing to them. So that is something that we started investing in. Is we're working with them to start getting data on who exactly is going to, like for instance, we're launching in Safeway stores next week, and they have a ton of data on who's going in and the type of people that are shopping at each store. So we are working with them to start targeting those people, and then they give us the data back on their portal. So that's something really cool that I haven't seen before, and I'm really excited to use.
Wow. How about you, Heidi? What tools are you using for your online store right now?
Yeah, so we are, I think one of the things that is the biggest technology tool that we're using is actually a kitchen management software called Galley. And that has really kind of revolutionized our kitchen operation and kind of the whole inventory and recipe kind of scalability and that sort of thing. But then in addition, we use a few different, in Shopify, just leveraging several of the different apps to help us become, able to, for us, publishing and unpublishing products, on a schedule, and being able to, we use OnFleet as another big technology software tool that we're using. And we also use Slack for internal communications. So those are the big ones, but I would, anyone who's running a kitchen operation, I would definitely recommend, checking Galley out.
Amazing. That's cool. I think because these tools can really help you in deep diving into kind of, or to scale up your business, because and for consumer engagement primarily, like for example, for your email marketing, what are you able to personalize your email marketing? How do you plan on kind of sending an email that can resonate with the consumer? Because if it's the same email going to everyone, does it strike a chord? Are you looking into that direction? Have you given any thought in that direction, Heidi? Like, let's say the email that you send to your consumers. What do you do?
Yes. So we use Klaviyo for our email marketing, and yes, we have different segments set up and all different audiences that we're sending, variable messages to, depending on, what criteria we have set. So yeah, and we're able to personalize those and customize those very much so.
Okay. How about you, Aaron? Like for your e-commerce presence right now that you have, like how does your marketing team kind of have a strategy in place for engagement? Like what kind of emails do they send? What messaging do they send? How do you plan, or what do you do that has helped you so
Yeah,
far?
I mentioned earlier we've got about 200 campaigns running at any given time. So, when I first started, I just kind of whiteboarded out like all the different buckets and where our leads coming from, and what purchase decisions have they made? How do we cross sell products and re-engage and that type of thing. So it's pretty customized and tricked out. And so we have all of our automated campaigns, and then we have one-off email blasts and text messages that we do as well for like flash sales and that type of thing. So, and that's all tying into, the digital marketing and making sure the messaging is very congruent.
Okay, excellent. I think that's a key. I believe engaging with the consumers at different stages of their life cycle and at different channels can really help you in making sure that that retention is always on the higher side, and with like as much less churn as possible. That can really help the business in the long run to make it sustainable. Great. Having said that, what are some of the things that you guys are thinking of doing, let's say in the next 1 year or the next 2 years, that you have never done, or you have just kind of thought of it that, okay, I'm thinking of in this direction, that in order to scale up my business? You already know the scale or the inflection point that you have reached with the challenges and with all the marketing efforts that you have done. But what are you planning to do differently, or anything new that you want to incorporate into your business setup in the next 1 or 2 years? Maybe I can ask Heidi to begin with.
Sure. Yeah. So we're actually just evaluating franchising as an option to really grow the business to go into other markets. So that's what's on our roadmap and what we're really focusing on in the next year.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, how about you, Michael?
Just product innovation. So right now we just have a rosé and white wine.
Mm-hmm.
We hope to come. Sorry about that. So then just different types of varietals. So coming up with like a sparkling wine, and then hopefully we want to introduce a better for you sangria. And with wine, there's just so many different types of varietals that you can come up with. So, making sure that we actually have a strong presence on the shelf. And right now we just have 2 products, and, as soon as we start building out the brand, we will want to be able to innovate into like different products. So we kind of have a bigger presence on the shelf, which in essence will attract people to want to purchase our products more because we're in their face. So that's something we're really pushing for the next year and a half.
Okay, amazing. What about you, Aaron? Anything new that you are thinking of incorporating?
Yeah, I mean, from a marketing perspective, specifically, we've always been, especially with our e-com roots, very ROI driven in our marketing. And now we are starting to do, brand building, which was always a swear word in my book. But, billboards, TV commercials, kind of more broad awareness plays that you can't necessarily measure the direct ROI on, but in order to get to the next level, it is part of what you need to do for general awareness.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think, so you are exploring additional channels of reaching out. So that's good, because the traditional channels are already, it's always going to be a distinction. I think brand building is an effort where it's like it grows gradually, and channels are exponentially growing. Like TikTok, I have seen people have recently started adopting, and it is really working out for some brands, and apart from the existing channels. So it's kind of always good to have these new channels. I think with the way technology is moving, maybe people are going to have augmented reality and virtual reality may become mainstream. And I think they're going to open up some new ways to connect with the consumers going forward in the next 5 or 10 years, maybe. And so while we are coming to an end of this panel discussion, one piece of advice that you would like to give to fellow food and beverage businesses that they should kind of follow or that can help them? One piece of advice, Aaron, while we are coming to an end.
Um, Especially what we've gone through this year, and me personally, the obstacle is the way. You can, anytime you have an obstacle, you can try to avoid it, or you deal with it and go through it. There's the only opportunities for growth is by overcoming obstacles. When everything is hunky-dory and smooth sailing, you don't change the way that you're doing anything. Your MO stays exactly the same. So it's only through obstacles that we have growth. And, as long as you continue to move forward and learn and grow, then, embrace those obstacles is big opportunities.
Great advice there. Thank you. Heidi.
Thank you so much, y'all. I unfortunately have to bounce. I've got another meeting here that started up, but pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Sure. No problem, Aaron. Thank you. Yeah. Heidi, one last piece of advice from you.
Yes, I would recommend to anyone, especially who's getting starting up, to never be too smart and think you know it all, and really lean on your community and engage with the community, people who may be your competitors, kind of really reach out and try to build those partnerships to raise everybody up together.
Wow, great advice there. Thank you. Michael, one piece of advice from your learning so far?
Yeah, I would always say if you're starting a business or if you're getting into anything new, I would always look at it in like small increments. Don't always look at, it's always great to have a long-term view of what you want to build, but sometimes it gets a little intimidating. Mm-hmm. So sometimes just look at the business, and kind of work from it from part to part to part, and then eventually you'll just see the whole thing grow into one big brand.
Wow, that's a great thought there. Thank you so much. I must really say that this has been an excellent panel discussion today, having you, Heidi, Michael, and Aaron there. And the kind of inputs that you guys have shared is really, really creative and innovative, I must say. And like what Heidi has mentioned about brand building and how she's able to connect with her consumers is really commendable. And the kind of effort she is putting in taking care of the community is really going to help her in the long run, because what you give comes back to you. Amazing. Thank you so much, Heidi, for joining us today. Michael, I must say, as an entrepreneur, you have been doing fabulous things, and I wish you all the luck for scaling up. And maybe California, I think you have an immense clarity about what you want to do in the near future. And that's really, really important. And I must say that you will grow significantly because of learning that you had in the last 6 months, because this challenges that are coming your way are going to define the next phase of your business, maybe. I must say the points that Aaron has shared earlier, he really touched upon some very creative ideas of connecting with the consumers, like the snail mail thing, and how to kind of differentiate oneself, or how one can connect with the consumers in a very different manner. That's what Aaron has touched upon. So I would like to say thank you so much to Aaron as well. So with this, we are coming to an end. Thank you so much once again for joining this morning. You guys have a great weekend and stay safe. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye. Thank you so much. Bye.